Hello and welcome. In this video I will show you how to install MXLinux or any other distribution with advanced partitions. So I will be creating separate partitions for home and root directory, and with this scheme you will be able to update or switch to any other Linux distribution without losing your data. I already have some Linux installation videos on my channel. You can see I have switched a Linux distribution without losing my data. So let's see how you can do this. I already have installed MXLinux on this system, but I am going to upgrade this Linux this version. If I go to my file manager, you can see I already have multiple partitions. Here you can see I have a partition. It's around 160 GB partition which contains a lot of all my files. Then we have this partition which is completely empty, and we have 4.5 GB volume and a mount point home and file system for root. So let's see how you can install MXLinux. Let's close and click installer. First of all, you need to choose your keyboard layout. And now you have installation option. Choose disk for installation. So I have only single disk, and this is a USB drive, so I'm not going to select this one. I will select this SDA, the first drive. Now here you can see options: rearrange disk partitions, modify partitions, so you can run partition tool. Then we have select type of installation, which you can see auto install using entire disk. So this is a really simple and easy process, and even beginner can click on this if you don't have any data on your hard drive. And then we have this option, custom install on existing partitions. I already have partitions, so I can choose this option, or I can run partition tool. So let's try this one, run partition tool. And now we have this gparted. Here you can see I have multiple partitions. ext4 is around 12 GB. Then we have extended partition which is 32 around 33 GB. So if I right click, I can delete this partition. And I will have to click on this icon to apply all the operations. Now you can see a warning message: are you sure you want to apply the pending operations? Editing partition has the potential to cause loss or data. You are advised to back up your data before proceeding. So I'm going to click OK. Now you can see all operations successfully completed. Now we have unallocated partition 32 GB. Next we have this extended partition. So we can resize or move this partition, or if we click on this ext4, SDA5 or SDA6, we can delete these partitions. Simply right click and delete. So I am going to delete these partitions, and let's apply. So if you have some data, make sure you back up your data first, otherwise you might lose your data. Now we have this unallocated space. It's around 44 GB. So now I'm not going to delete these two partitions. This one is 150 GB NTFS partition. It contains a lot of my data. Then I have this partition. It's around 30 GB, which contains a lot of my files. So currently this is empty. You can see it's only 642 GB is used, but for the 150 GB you can see 145 GB is used, and only 4.70 GB is free. So I'm not going to delete these two partitions, but I have deleted earlier partitions. Now I am going to create two partitions, one for root and another for home directory. So let's click new, and now I need to choose the size of this partition. So this will be used for root, so I am going to use set around 12 GB, or you can set 10 GB, 10,000 MB. It will be around 10 GB, which is enough for root partition. For the file system, you can select ext4. We also have some other options. We have anti-FS option, but for Linux I am going to use ext4. You can also label this. I am going to label this root. Next we have two options, create as primary partition or extended partition. So I am going to select the primary partition option. Let's click add and apply. Now you can see we have this root partition, 10 GB partition with label of root, and we have this unallocated space. So let's right click and click new. This will be extended partition, and then you can name this partition home. It will be used for home. So if you will use the extended option, you will be able to create more partitions in this directory. And if you use primary, you won't be able to resize this partition later. Now this one is 35 GB. You can even create other partitions to save your OPT directory files and some files from other Linux directories, but I am going to use two partitions. The 10 GB will be used for root partition and 35 GB will be used for home directory. So let's click OK and apply. Now let's close. Now we have created two partitions. Close this one, and now choose this option, custom install on existing partitions. Click next, and here you can see we have to choose root partition. I am going to select this one, 9.8 GB ext4 with root label, and you can choose a type. I will go with ext4. You can also change the label of this partition. Then we have to choose home directory. You can choose root, but I am going to select this 35 GB partition because I have created this one to save my home directory files. With this approach, I will be able to switch to any other Linux distribution without losing my data, because when I install any other Linux distribution, I can choose this home directory, this 35 GB partition for the home mount point, and I just need to click on this preserve data in home if upgrading, so I won't lose my data. But currently I have deleted the partition, so I don't have any data on these partitions. Now I need to click next. You can see this option, the MXLinux installer will now format and destroy the data on the following partitions: dev sda1 and dev sda2 for the root and for the home partitions. Click no. And if you want to preserve your data, or if you are upgrading your system, you can check this option, preserve data in home directory, so you won't lose your data. But I don't have any data, that's why I'm going to click next, and I'm going to choose yes. I want to continue. Now installation process will take some time. Now you can see this option, pause for required operator input. So click next. Enter your computer name and example domain. Click next. Now you can see some localization default options. You can select your language and you can configure your clock. You can also select your time zone. Click next. Now you need to enter default user account and root administrator account. So you can add your name. I am going to choose my channel name. You can also check this option for auto logging and save live desktop changes. So you can also save your live desktop changes if you have made some changes. So let's change our wallpaper. Let's choose this one, or if we have some other options, this one. So close and let's check this option. So we will see if we can preserve all these settings. Click next, and now it is installing Grub. Now our installation is complete and I just need to hit finish to restart my system, and I can log into my system. So this is the complete installation process of MXLinux. Thank you very much for watching this video. And if you want to learn how to switch to any other Linux distribution without losing your data, please watch some videos. I have already published some videos on my channel.